North Korea has been under UN sanctions for the last 20 years, but despite of this, the regime has continued to progress its nuclear programs and getting luxury life for its leaders. But where does North Korea gets money to fund its projects? Here are 15 ways the North Korean government makes illegal money around the world. But before we start with the list, let's first know about the office responsible for all these activities. Office 39 is the primary government organization that seeks ways to maintain the foreign currency slush fund of North Korea's leader. Office 39 oversees many of the government's illegal activities. In 2010, the department was reported to have got 17 overseas branches, 100 trading companies and banks under its control. By 2009, the office allegedly had over $5 billion in assets, much of which was spread in banks throughout Macau, Hong Kong, and Europe. The office is said to have taken in many luxury goods in North Korea that were sanctioned from entering North Korea. In 2015, the European Union placed the Korean National Insurance Company under sanctions and added that the NIC had links to Room 39. The NIC, which had offices in Hamburg, Germany and London, was reported to have got assets of £787 million in 2014 and had been involved in scamming insurance markets and making investments in property, plus foreign exchange. With that said, let's start with the list of North Korea's illegal money. Be sure that you have subscribed before we continue. Number 1. Hacking banks. A North Korean hacking group has tried to steal at least $1.1 billion in a series of attacks on global banks over the past 4 years, according to cybersecurity firm FireEye. The hackers, which FireEye identified as APT38, have infiltrated more than 16 organizations in 11 countries including the US and stolen more than $100 million. The group has hacked heavily defended servers at banks and spent time scouring their networks. One of the most popular was the Bangladesh bank cyber heist. That took place in February 2016, when 35 fraudulent instructions were issued by security hackers via the SWIFT network to legally transfer close to $1 billion from the Federal Reserve Bank of New York account belonging to Bangladesh Bank, the Central Bank of Bangladesh. 5 of their transaction worth $101 million went unsuccessful, while the other 30 were stopped due to an error in misspelling some words. Only $21 million were recovered from the $101 million that was successful. Number 2. Ransomwares. North Korea has been behind many ransomwares around the world in the past 2 decades, but the most popular one was the 2017 WannaCry. It swept across 150 countries in the world, locking computers and demanding payment for them to be unlocked. The NHS in the UK was particularly badly hit. The North Korean hackers allegedly behind the 2017 WannaCry outbreak. Evidence left behind shows the culprits used a unique hacking tool that's been tied to other intrusions, attributed to the North Korean hacking group known as Lazarus. The ransomware only demanded victims pay $300 or $600 per infected computer. Other high-profile ransomware attacks can demand 6 figures or more when the malicious code is able to encrypt computers belonging to a corporation or hospital. In March 2020, the North Korean group released another form of ransomware called the VHD, which has better coding than the WannaCry and is meant targeting high-profile companies from where they can demand huge ransoms. VHD is a fairly standard ransomware tool. It creeps through the drives connected to a victim's computer, encrypts files, and deletes all system volume information folders. Number 3. Selling weapons. North Korea, trading of weapon to make billions has been existing for many years. During the 1980s, North Korea emerged as a legal arms trader to primarily third world countries, exporting relatively inexpensive, technically unsophisticated, but reliable weapons. During the Iran-Iraq War, some 90% of arms exports from North Korea went to Iran, and between 1981 and 1989, North Korea earned an estimated $4 billion from arms sales. North Korea has a known track record in proliferating nuclear and missile technology, and in 2001, missile sales came to $560 million. Following its 2006 nuclear test, international sanctions have sought to limit or prevent North Korea from exporting various types of arms, materials, and technology. Prior to UN sanctions, however, countries such as Japan and the United States took unilateral steps to curb such activities. UN sanctions now ban all arms, including small arms and light weapons from North Korea. North Korea has developed an extensive and complicated arms trade network in an attempt to circumvent sanctions and uses front companies and embassies to traffic weapons. In a 2014 UN report, Syria, Myanmar, Eritrea, Tanzania, Ethiopia, Somalia and Iran were all suspected to have bought weapons from North Korea. Number 4. Selling drugs. It is alleged that North Korea's illegal drug trade dates back to the 1970s and includes the manufacturing, selling, and trafficking of illicit drugs. North Korea has been refining and distributing heroin around the world in an open secret. The Australian Navy seized a North Korean ship transporting more than 100 kilograms of the drug in 2003. In fact, US officials say the country is the world's third leading heroin producer behind Afghanistan and Burma, and the CIA calls out North Korean diplomats for engaging in heroin trafficking on a regular basis. North Korea uses the heroin trade to make some of its off-the-books money. It seems one drug isn't enough, as the country sends methamphetamine around the globe. The US Department of Justice convicted 3 international conspirators of attempting to import 100 kilograms of North Korea-produced meth in 2015. That was 3 years after the same trio sold 30 kilos of the substance. In 2001, income from illegal drugs amounted to between $500 million and $1 billion. And in 2013, annual revenues from methamphetamine sales are estimated at $100 million to $200 million. Number 5. Overseas slave labor. The country is a source country of men, women, and children for sex trafficking and forced labor. Forced labor is used both internally and externally. Countries which have North Korean forced laborers include Poland, Malta, Russia, China, Mongolia, and other places in Central Asia, Europe, Africa, and the Middle East. These laborers are paid money, and the biggest percentage of their salary, like 90%, is paid to their government. While the North Korean government claims these are contract workers, reports claim that they are actually subjected to forced labor, that their movements and communications are subjected to strict surveillance, and that workers sent overseas do not have a choice in the type of work they will be doing, nor do they receive pay for their work. It is estimated that there are thousands of North Koreans working in logging, construction, and agriculture industries in Russia. These workers reportedly only receive 2 days of rest each year and face punishment if they fail to meet quotas. And their families remain in captivity to prevent them from running away. Nobody knows the total amount of money these workers earn for the North Korean government, but it may be a lot to support the nuclear programs. Number 6. Printing fake US currency. If you can't legally make money, why not just fake it? That's North Korea's thinking. Counterfeiting currency is alleged to have begun in the 1970s under Kim Jong-il's direction. However, the notes produced at the time were not of high quality. Within the jurisdiction of Room 39, the North Korean government has counterfeited $50 and $100 banknotes using increasingly sophisticated techniques. It is estimated that North Korea circulated $100 million in counterfeit currency in 2001. In 2009, a man was sentenced to more than 12 years in prison for successfully passing millions of dollars of counterfeit bills in Las Vegas casinos. This wasn't an isolated case. That same year, a Taiwanese woman shipped close to $400,000 in counterfeit in US currency to herself. She was caught by the FBI, but only after smuggling and spending thousands of dollars of counterfeit money. It's not just US currency that's being faked, as United Press International writes the Chinese currency is being printed in North Korea. The United States released its newly redesigned $100 bill. The primary purpose of the redesign was to fight against counterfeiting and prevent the recurrence of the supernotes, which were produced by North Korea. Number 7. Counterfeit legal pharmaceuticals. There have been a few cases of North Korea being implicated in the production of counterfeit Viagra. These include a 2004 arrest in Seoul, South Korea of a man with 4,000 counterfeit Viagra pills, and a 2005 report from Japan that North Korea was producing fake Viagra pills in factories in Chongqing, which were then sold in Hong Kong to customers of other Southeast Asian countries, including China and the Middle East. Number 8. Wildlife trade. Over the past 3 decades, at least 18 North Korean diplomats have been caught smuggling rhino horn and ivory, though the real number is considered to be much higher. North Korean defectors have also reported smuggling of rhino horn and ivory from countries like Angola, Ethiopia, and the Democratic Republic of Congo, South Africa and Mozambique. Such illegal activity is considered low risk but highly rewarding for the regime to support its activities. 9. Real estate management. Whereas the sale or purchase of a home is technically illegal in North Korea and could land you in a concentration camp if you're caught, homes are theoretically provided for free by the government and assigned based on proximity to your work. This has not stopped North Korean government to build and own properties outside North Korea. It is estimated that North Korea owns properties in US and Europe. Most of its properties are registered in names of people that are loyal to the North Korean government. Defectors have mentioned some of the properties that belong to North Korea, an area where the North Korea sanctions are very strong. I hope you know how much it gains from managing real estate. 10. Selling coal. Despite the ever-rising UN sanctions on North Korea to sell and buy anything from other countries, intended to pressure Pyongyang to give up its nuclear weapons programs and long-range missiles, it seems nothing has been done as the regime continues to sell its coal to the neighbor in the north. It is estimated that the regime makes a lot of money, above $500 million annually, from selling coal to Chinese companies. 11. Online gambling. Accessing North Korea online gambling websites from within the borders of the totalitarian dictatorship state is an offense punishable by death. But that hasn't stopped leader Kim Jong-un's government in Pyongyang from capitalizing off the illegal market. According to Korea Institute of Liberal Democracy director Yoo Dong-yeol, North Korea is operating numerous internet gambling websites that are catering to foreign nationals. Dong-yeol revealed that the North Koreans have made over $860 million running online gambling websites and developing and selling software to international offshore casino companies. 12. Cryptocurrencies theft. Hackers around the world have been developing techniques to hack cryptocurrencies. This did not leave North Korean hackers out of the game. US authorities moved to seize 280 cryptocurrency accounts they said were used by North Korean hackers who stole more than $250 million from cryptocurrency companies around the world, including one in the US. The US Justice Department said the accounts targeted in the civil forfeiture filing were used by the North Korean hackers and their Chinese agents to launder some of the money stolen from more than a dozen virtual currency exchanges, a series of cyber thefts over the past 2 years, amounting to more than $300 million. 13. Blackmailing people. When it comes to blackmailing, the regime have the experts in this, and it has been involved in blackmailing many people and governments around the world. In 1999, North Korea's ambassador to Sweden made a proposal to his Israeli counterpart to give North Korea $1 billion in cash to scrap its agreements to sell its missile technology to Iran and other enemies of Israel. The Israelis refused and days later offered food aid instead, according to the account. The talks ended without an agreement. Since then, North Korea has remained a steady supplier of conventional and ballistic weapons and nuclear technology to countries such as Iran and Syria. It is believed that the regime has blackmailed many people in the past decade, but few cases are known. Alright, those are 13 so far. Comment the 2 other ways in which North Korea makes illegal billions. Let's see those that will get them right. As always, thank you for watching. Don't forget to subscribe and to watch more videos by tapping the videos above.